20th of April at 5 p.m., no more than 12 BME women and non-binary people congregated in the ground floor of the Students' Union in a room named after the formidable black activist and revolutionary communist Angela Davis.
And the scene has been set.
The nature of the gathering was a political meeting to discuss how we, as BME students, are going to campaign around the issues that have been raised by liberation movements on campus and the most recent occupation.
Occupation? Occupation? Y'all are being occupied? By whom? What's going on?
And that is all it was. It was not an anti-racism rally, nor was it an event to celebrate the cultural diversity in the institution.
There seems to be a lot of diversity in your institution as it is. I mean, look at all the people surrounding you.
And most definitely not an equality protest.
Yeah, right, screw equality, right? Screw it. Who needs it? F equality. F it right in the ear.
As it was dubbed by the media.
Why do British people like to dub things? Yeah, I never understood that.
The backlash following on from the Scoot original article in the tab.
Oh, poor girl. She's stumbling over her words already. And what is a tab, anyway? On the tab? What's that craziness?
Was an outrageous distortion of fact and ironically did the opposite of what this meeting was meant to achieve. The meeting was called for by BME women and non-binary people, which I, as a representative of this community...
That is going to be important to remember, y'all. That is going to be important to remember. She's a representative of that community.
Listened to, fully supported, and facilitated a space for. Minority peoples organising autonomously is not new.
Tell me about it.
And if our right-wing critics put as much time into researching the history of our struggles that they do into smearing us all over social media, then they might have not been so outraged by our intimate meeting.
I don't think those meetings are supposed to be intimate. I don't think they're supposed to be intimate.
Since the media storm, my position as welfare and diversity officer has been called into question.
By the look of the people around you, I think you're doing very good with diversity. It's just, you're not supposed to be exclusionary or intimate.
Both times that I run in student elections for this post, I had one on a manifesto.
Uh-oh. We got ourselves a manifesto writer here. Uh-oh. It's not looking good.
Which stated that I represent the most traditionally unrepresented.
Oh no. She thinks she's Jesus.
In an unequal society where power relations in the wider world pervade our institutions, how can one possibly represent the needs of all people when people, by virtue of their gender, race, and class, have opposing interests?
Because we don't have opposing interests.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I represent the most marginalised people at Goldsmiths. Furthermore, there have been charges made against me that I am racist and sexist to white men. I want to explain why this is false. I, an ethnic minority woman, cannot be racist or sexist towards white men because racism and sexism describe structures of privilege based on race and gender. And therefore,
no, it doesn't.
Color and minority genders cannot be racist or sexist since we do not stand to benefit from such a system. In order for our actions to have been deemed racist or sexist, the current system would have to be one which enables only people of colour and women to benefit economically and socially on such a large scale, and to the systematic exclusion of white people and men, who for the past 400 years would have had to have been subjected to colonisation. We do not live in such a system. We do not know of such a history. Reverse racism and reverse sexism are not real. Despite the witch hunt and shameful character assassination the right-wing media have been gleefully whipping up, this isn't about me.
Lies, 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 and all lies.
And despite desperate attempts to humiliate and denigrate a 27-year-old woman of colour from a working-class immigrant family, this isn't about my struggle. I am just one person, and there have been many people before me, and there'll be many more after me who will be the targets of racial and gendered abuse.
Tell me about it.
This is only one in a series of attacks upon minority women on campus since the start of the term, which has received national and even international media attention. And if we consider the recent scandals regarding BME people in positions of power in the UK, it cannot be just a coincidence that this story has gained huge coverage alongside the smearing of a black candidate who ran in the NUS National Conference 2015 for a full-time role. These attacks upon people of colour are politically and ideologically driven along racial lines.
Again, tell me about it.
The thought of people of colour holding positions of power frightens white supremacy, a system built on and sustained through the oppression of BME people, minority genders, and the cheap labour of immigrants.
Again, tell me about it, Ms. Mustafa, who lives in a £500,000 home.
No, This isn't about me. This is about us. This is about our struggle. This is about all minorities. And this is even about every single person in this room. Because in the project for emancipation from all oppressive systems, an injury to one is an injury to all.
Well, she screwed that up.
And when you feign neutrality and watch with lips sealed while a young woman is receiving death threats and comments like, that smug self-righteous look makes me just want to prime and ready the back of my hand.
Slugger thusly.
Then your silence is violence, and we wear the scars. And appeals to, but we're all just human, and are rendered hollow and vacuous when we consider a history of colonization based on the ongoing project to dehumanize us.
As in excluding people from certain activities based solely on their sex or race?
We are simply not just individuals, and oppression doesn't happen in a vacuum. Social relations are encumbered by power, and who holds what power over who is determined by our material conditions.
£500,000 home, £500,000 home.
The difference between the way we experience prejudice and the way a white man might be discriminated against is that our discrimination is always marked by the very fact of our gender and our race in relation to a wider system of domination which historically privileges the white male colonizer over us whose bodies are colonized. This consistency serves to remind us that we have no stake in white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. Whereas white supremacy has everything to lose. Because white supremacy has everything. Because the entire world is a safe space for the white powerful men. Because people who benefit from white supremacy will never truly understand what it feels like to be reminded of the trauma of their ancestors' oppression.
I mean, I really don't think she realizes how much she's ripping off the Jewish history here relative to the Romans. I really don't think she does.
Or the creeping and paralyzing sensation of fear when an abusive boyfriend you're trying to leave won't let you, and you know that 2 women in the UK are killed by their male partners every week.
Now, I actually had to look this up because I couldn't believe it, and forgive my mic, I now realize that it's crappy. But I ran the numbers, and what is it? That's 86 women a year that are killed by their partners. And half that many die in childbirth. So 2 women are killed a week by their partners, and 1 woman is killed a week by their babies. Are we supposed to outlaw birth? And the death rates in the UK are absurdly low compared to America.
They will never really know what it's like to feel terror at the thought of disclosing to a friend that you were just sexually assaulted, because you know that society likes to paint women and girls as liars, and that if you're a woman of colour, the backlash is tenfold.
Tell them about it. I'm going to let this hang up here for a bit.
But this also reminds me that we have everything to gain. Women, LGBTQ+, disabled, and BME people will never apologise for taking back space, especially in the face of a society that directly benefits from our systematic exclusion.
Now I'm starting to realize a little bit more about these people. They think that excluding white men from spaces will give them space. This explains the whole shrinking and growing poetry crap from my other video. Yeah, they think that it's empowering to go in and nudge in and take space from others. Instead of what we've learned in America is we share. Share, you dumb cunt.
To deny the legitimacy of this claim is to commit an act of violence. To appeal to a liberal interpretation of oppression is oppression and must be resisted. When the positions of the most privileged people in society are threatened by us, they do everything they can to cling on desperately to their power. But if the right-wing media and our opponents think they've scared us into silence or distracted us from our struggle, then it is them who should be scared, because we are not going down without a fight. Simply, we are not going down.
I suspected she was one of these feminists that didn't give head, but now I'm sure about it.
Women and non-binary people of colour reject any view which suggests that we live in a post-racist, post-sexist society that is uninformed by class relations. We reject this view not only ideologically, but because our lived experiences force us to know the fact of our oppression. We are BME, we are disabled, we are queer, we are angry, and we are organised. We will not be silenced. We are militant. The world is not ready for minorities to challenge the status quo, but resistance to our resistance is futile.
Man, she is screwing up all over the place. I mean, wow. What, a Borg reference? Really? A Borg reference?
And I'll end with one quote from an old Mexican proverb. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds.
Okay, I just couldn't help myself. I mean, seeds, beans. Beans are seeds. Yeah. Alright, well, you guys have a nice day. And always remember to go your own way. Yours truly, M.